Hi everyone, it's lovely to see so many familiar faces in this audience, but like Mick said, we want to get more people involved in creating action. How open are you to creating change? This evening, I hope that we can all bind together and listen to all of the amazing speakers that stand up and find out little ways that we can create small actions to create change so we can all work towards those 17 Sustainable Development Goals together. I'd first like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land where I work and reside, which are the Ugambe people. As Mick said, my name is Rachel Whitworth, and I am the founder of a social enterprise called Hello Good World. But I have been surrounded by some of the most amazing business people for a number of years now. I have been able to not work with the Richard Bransons, the Tony Robbins and the Oprahs, but entrepreneurs that are right on your doorstep, the social entrepreneurs, the people that want to use business as a tool for good and that are creating impact every single day. For those of you that don't know what a social enterprise is, we're looking at lots of different terminologies: business for good, purpose-led, social enterprise. But at the end of the day, all we're doing is using business as a tool to create change in the world. Each and every one of us has a clear, identified social or environmental mission, and we're also reinvesting our profits. We are ordinary business. Contrary to popular belief, we are not charities. We are not deriving our income from being given handouts. We are businesses that are working just like any other, but we're just using it as a tool to do better. The thing about trade is that this means that we need customers. We need people that believe in us, that want to do better. And those customers help us deliver our trade, our products and our service to create a better world. Obviously, when we look towards creating change, we have already pre-identified for you the Sustainable Development Goals that we are associated with and that we are working towards. But first, if we're looking at creating change, we need to look at the formula in which we need to do so. I know that the majority of people in this room coming to a talk about the SDGs already have that certain level of dissatisfaction for the way that the world is currently. But we're also all here because we do see a brighter future and that we are all looking towards that vision, towards 2030, towards those sustainable development goals when people and planet can coexist. The main difference between the change maker is actually not the social entrepreneur. It is those that are looking at going beyond that resistance, that thing that we need to make the change, and actually actioning it, creating those first steps. And those first steps are seriously all that is needed to help work towards these goals. So how do we create social change? Well, every time we make an action, there is a certain level of a positive to negative reaction. And so what we need to do in every single action that we make in our lives, in our day-to-day, we just need to acknowledge at what scale of positive to negative action this is actually taking. And when we start to create more and more of those small positive actions, then that's when we're starting to create the impact. What happens when everyone in this room and everyone beyond this room that wants to make those changes, those positive impacts? Well, then that's when social change truly exists. Because only together are we the catalyst for change. I am a super fan of the SDGs. I think that they have taken the completely complex nature of life itself and just put it into such an easy format for everyone to know and understand what needs to be done. And when you see these goals and know that the aim is for 2030, we know that we're 7 years away from needing to complete them. The amazing thing about all of you people in this room when you're creating those small little actions to create that impact is that we're all working on a number of these different goals. You can choose just one because other people are choosing another, and that together we're all working towards these things. The same goes for social enterprise and these business for good. We're all working towards small of those impacts, but they actually make huge movements towards the goals and what we need for the greater good. I have sat where you're sitting. I have been at 17X a number of times now. And I know that the people sitting in this room are wanting to make changes. So what I hope that we're doing today is listening to those stories, talking to each other on the stage and off stage to find out what your story is, because it's those stories that create the biggest difference, where we can start to connect, to learn, to expand. This is 9-year-old Rachel. I remember when I was about 9 years old, we received our first computer at home. And it's probably going to show my age, but I was so excited because this computer came with a floppy disk. And on this floppy disk was the first time that I could learn outside of a book, which I always found quite difficult. I could learn from this encyclopedia in Carter 95, if anyone remembers. And I loved that computer so much. I remember waiting 7 days for it to arrive. And obviously these days we've got the internet at our fingertips. We have so many opportunities to learn and to grow every single day that we really have no exceptions to the rule. I remember when I was about 9 years old as well, I was walking down the street with my mother and we stopped at a bookshop. At this bookshop was a children's art book and she decided to buy one. I found out later that evening that she hadn't bought it for me. She had actually bought it for a girl in my class. See, Mum was a teacher and she would often come and volunteer to help some of the children that needed the extra support. And in a conversation with one of the girls, they were reading this particular art book when the girl had mentioned that she didn't have any books at home. This was the first time in my life 9-year-old Rachel realised that there could be other ways of living and that not everyone has the same opportunity. There are a number of things that how this moment has shaped me in my life and the way I do business moving forward. It's that deep sense of appreciation for everything that I have been given, and also using any privilege that I have been given to really help those that don't. It was that deeper sense of empathy. But also in that moment, if you have a think about it, there were 3 things that she did. She volunteered her time, she gave back, and she also just listened. Sometimes it's the smallest things that we can do to create change. And that's what I do. That's what I love. It's inspiring people to recognize that there are some amazing ways that we can create change. And I'm proud to have built a platform where people can connect easily with the Sustainable Development Goals and social enterprise and find a way to, or a product to help them increase their impact. The thing I love about this is that when you do the figures, that online consumption actually has the power to change the world and actually reach all 17 of those Sustainable Development Goals. Now, why did I say this? Well, because a social enterprise, for every $1 spent, is a minimum of $3 worth of value back into the community. So when you look at something like online consumption worldwide, if all of those people were buying from a social enterprise, would actually be able to change the world and actually reach those goals. And that is everything that I live for. we practice business for good too. We are really proud to have partnered with B1G1 to be able to help the young women of the Dalit community in India. So far this year, we have provided over 4,000 days of education, and we're looking to target over 10,000 days by the end of the year. But we cannot do this alone. As I said at the beginning, social enterprise only exists if we have customers. And if we don't have customers, it's simply just a nice idea. These young women are some of the most marginalized girls in the world for their gender and for their caste. How open were you to creating change? I asked you at the beginning to take a look, take a listen to all of the different things that you can do to open your mind to new ideas. Some of you in the room may have identified the change that I was asking you to make throughout this presentation. See, we actually had a QR code that asked you to give 2 weeks of education just for something as simple as an email address. Something that is absolutely no cost to you can change somebody's life for the better. And I'm not doing this to penalize the people that haven't done it so far. I'm hoping to give you this slide to help you acknowledge that the social change doesn't go away, and nor does the ways that we can create a difference. The astounding figure is that there are still 100 million children without an education on this planet. And so if you are wanting to create a change, then here's your chance to do so. If you want to help those young girls, then you can. But the thing is that we are actually 43 years behind schedule in achieving those sustainable development goals. And there's absolutely no reason why we're not getting closer to that. It's not just Australia, it's everybody. And the whole reason I do this, and I stand up on stage when I'm not necessarily a public speaker, is because I care and that the issues are beyond me. We all have to communicate our story, take those chances to talk to people that you've never spoken to before. Listen, offer your help or your time, or give back where you can. There are so many little things that we can do to change the world. And I hope that we can all do this and say hello to a good world together.